My talk is going to be different. Of course, everyone knows that we started it in India. But I'm not going to talk only about our research program. I'm going to talk about India. India's future challenge. And how do we draw lessons from IITMRP journey? Where did the idea come from? What was the purpose? And what do we need to do in future? I'll have only 1 or 2 slides on the research park per se. So I'll go back straight to the independence. At the time of independence, India had practically no technological base, and it needed rapid development of new technologies. I think all of us know about it. And it is there that our forefathers conceived of the 5 IITs: IIT Bombay, IIT Madras, IIT Kanpur, Kharagpur, and Delhi, as cornerstones in building the industrial, scientific, and technology edifice of the nation. This was conceived of in 1950s. But if you go through the details, there are some principles put there. First, they have to be fully autonomous institutes. They will be funded as much as they need, but fully funded by government India, much higher than other institutes, but they will be fully autonomous. Supported by some of the best international universities in the beginning. And quality was to be the hallmark. Now, we are talking about research parks at IIT. So let's look through what we did from the time we started IITs. Our first program, of course, by 1970s, almost all IITs had built a very strong undergraduate program, which would compare with the best in the world. And this is what we got known by. Our undergraduate students will go all over the world, specifically United States. They will be the academic leader, they will be the industry leader. I was told about a few years back that 1 out of every 3 industry in Silicon Valley had an IIT graduate as one of the CXOs, either CEO, CTO, CFO, or whatever. This something we did excellent, and since then we've been doing. We actually achieved it in 70s itself. By 70s, we started knowing that. What is less celebrated, that by 1980s, we had a huge chain of our master's graduates who would soon have CXO leadership in industries all over India. If you look at the industry, you go to even smallest town, and you'll find somebody who is leading, particularly the CTO, will be an IIT Tech from many of the IITs. And then they actually started building the IT industry. And you will see our Tech students really, from Narayan Murthy to Chris Gopalakrishnan to almost everybody were Techs from IIT, not undergraduate. Some undergraduate joined, but it was Techs. And then our PhD students. By 1990s, its PhD became the lead faculty in large number of private engineering colleges in the country, today producing 1.5 plus million engineers a year. Professor Shashwat knows about it a lot. We today produce 1.5 million plus engineers a year, and a large number of our PhD, people who did PhDs, are leaders in these engineering colleges. These young graduates, 1.5 million, a significant percent of them have played a significant role in helping India grow its industry post-liberalization. There are a large percentage are there in these industries. And this 1.5 million engineers coming out from tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, all under Professor Shashwat today, play a very, very important role. They are the one who are there all over in the industry. Yes, joined by some of our undergraduate, some of our masters, but mostly from these colleges. At the same time, by 1990s, our faculty had started publishing some quality papers in international journals. Back to IITs, what they were doing. So this is what IITs did in 70s, 80s, and 90s. And we are all part of it. Most of us were either students or we saw that. I was a student in 1970, 75, then joined as a faculty, saw the MTech, saw the PhD, we are part of it. But still not cornerstone in building the industrial and scientific and technological edifice of the nation. Remember, this was the goal of IITs. Indian industry was still importing most of the technologies. Even if it was adopting these technologies for Indian market and using some local material, we were still import dependent. And the original mission of our forefathers who created the IITs was not filled. IITs were not able to do. IITs did a lot of things, but this was still missing at the turn of century. So by the turn of the century, IITs started thinking about technology development and commercialization. We started thinking. Of course, there are some examples of some things being done early, but this is the place where serious thinking started. Of course, there were two mechanisms to do it. One was industry-academia collaboration. The whole idea of industry-academia collaboration in large scale came towards the end of the last century and beginning of this millennium. At the same time, we also said, well, industry may not take risks, particularly established industry with innovative breakthrough technologies, and there will create startups. So the two things started simultaneously around 2000. Industry-academia collaboration at scale and startups which are willing to take risk where established industry was not willing to. And this was the beginning of things. And of course, we at IIT Madras took the leap, took the plunge, that understanding that innovation thrives when faculty, an industry person, and a youngster interact in formal and informal environment. This was our initial thrust. We want these three sets of people, the faculty, because faculty has the width of the knowledge. An industry person knows how to convert prototypes into a product. And they know what a product is. It has to work 24/7. It has to be manufacturable. And the third was that youngster. What role does youngster play? Well, the most important role that youngster played is that he did not know that it cannot be done. You come with a challenging problem, go to established people, and they say it cannot be done. This was a big problem in India. You cannot take up huge challenges. This youngster will not know that it cannot be done. So when the three sets of people, this faculty, industry person, and youngsters get together and they challenge the youngsters, do something, it is impossible. This youngster does not know it cannot be done. And the youngsters will work 16 hours a day. That is what creates translatable technology and innovation. And this is what was the basics of IIT Madras Research Park. And we set this up in around 2000. We started around 2000 talking about it, but it was 2008 or 9 before our first tower was ready. At the same time, recognize that established industry is risk averse. Very important. We saw that again and again. They will do me too technology. But if you talk about a breakthrough technology, they will sort of say, oh, I don't know whether it will happen. On the other hand, we recognize that startups will work 18 hours a day. And they are not scared. They are not worried about breakthrough technology. And that is where, at the same time, IIT Madras created IITM Incubation Cell. And of course, Rural Technology and Business Incubator, and MedTech Incubator, and Biotech Incubators, and housed all of them at the research park. So our research park that you see in the building actually houses all of them. So there are two parts of it. One, research park, which industry academia interaction. Other is the incubation cells, which will create breakthrough technology. And the two will work together. The differences will start to merge after some years. This is something that we started around from 2004, 5, 8, 9, 10. But it was in this decade it prospered. We started with seed funds of 107 crores. We spent what you saw there, 500 crores. But for that remaining 400 crores, we did not go for grant. We did not go for government money. We actually borrowed the money from bank with the interest. And what is most interesting, the biggest thing that we have done is this year, we have paid all but 10 crores pending. We have paid the money that we borrowed plus the interest. We have 10 crores pending. We have 10 crores cash, we can pay it, but we have kept this account alive. And we generate 40 crores a year, even in this COVID stuck here. You know, good times we'll start generating 60, 70 crore rupees of cash. This is and we are therefore totally independent. We are not dependent on the government. We are not dependent on IIT. We are not dependent on any industry grants and donations. This is, and I'll talk more about it. Same thing on incubation cell. It started with small amount of money in terms of tens of lakhs rupees of grant here and there. Today we have 220 companies, 11,000 crore rupees valuation. And we take valuation only based on when somebody outsider put in substantial money and give the market valuation. We don't take anything else into account. Because grants we don't take into account. We don't take into account anything else. Single matrix, very important. It has to win in the market. That's what the startup is supposed to do. And we own 100 crore rupees worth of shares. And every year we cash 10, 12 crores, and that's how we are financially self-dependent. We are not dependent on anybody. Now, I want to again and again emphasize, and Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala know the importance of these self-independent. And I've been trying to thrust this in with, of course, Bhashish I have not talked, but Devang, I have talked about it. To Abhay, I talked about it. Ravi, of course, I am not spent much time. It is very important. It's both board-driven companies. We have very prominent industries, absolutely top industries, who spend considerable time, and they are very proud that this is totally independent. Both are cash-generating companies. Full autonomy from government and IITM administration. Of course, there are one or two secretaries sit on the board, but that's all right. They can give their input. They cannot control. They cannot order us. They cannot tell us anything. I mean, of course, even if Professor Ashok tells us something, we'll listen to them very carefully because they may have some very great suggestion, but we will not obey. And I think this is the culture that was supposed to be there in IITs earlier. That's how in 50s IITs were created. But today we tend to sort of say, well, they have decided. They have said no more imports without secretary's approval. We stop imports. This is something we don't do at IIT Madras Research Park and Incubation Center. There is, of course, faculty council, one person from each department who provides all the collaborative guidelines. There are independent committees of independent members, industrial members, external members, how to do seed funding, loan, everything. Very powerful board-driven company, and independence become very, very important. This is what about IIT Madras. I'll not talk about IIT Madras anymore. But I'll go back to our original mission of 50s. We are supposed to IITs together. And it is not just IIT Madras, IIT Bombay, it's all IITs. We're supposed to set up industrial, scientific, technological edifice of the nation. It is still weak. We very often don't admit it. But I think if at academia we are not ready to admit our weakness, we can never become strong. India is still largely dependent on imported technology. In fact, a question that I ask, how many technologies coming from Indian R&D has become 1,000 crore rupees revenue per year in India? Not many. We are not technology leader in any field. Do we not have the great people, our scientists, technologists? We have very good ones. We have very good business people. We have extremely hardworking youngsters. What is missing? And I think this is the goal that IIT, after having done very good undergraduate, very good masters, very good PhDs, able to publish, this is what IITs need to do, the dream of our forefathers. That is what is going to change India. Because finally, India has to win. Otherwise, what are we doing this for? India has to win. And for this, IITs, its research park and incubators have to do much more in 2020s. So our board, having celebrated 10, 12 years and saying, oh, we are totally independent, we are cash rich, we are no longer dependent, done very well on all measures, but say that challenge is over. They asked me, Jhunjhunwala, what are you going to do? They say, go back to the original goal, transform India, and they call it a 10x goal for 2030. I'll just present those goals in a few minutes. Goal number one, and IITMRP IIC to ensure that the 30 to 50 products, remember 30 to 50 products which come from R&D carried out primarily in India, becomes 500 crore rupees to 1,000 crore rupees revenue per year. This is what IIT Madras Research Park and Incubation Cell have been asked to do. If we do together 100 such products, India will transform itself. And I'll request IIT Bombay, IIT Kanpur, all other research parks to join us, get this done. It doesn't have to be, I think we have to think ourselves as together, all IITs. Together we have created the great undergraduate students. Together we have created the great master student. Together we have created the PhDs, which now are there in all the private engineering colleges. And we are the builders of that way, the private engineering colleges. Together we have to create 100, 150 products with 500 crore to 1,000 crore rupees. By the way, I know Brian is there. About $1 is 75 rupees. You can translate it. India R&D has to be translated to large scale commercialization. Fortunately, India is a large market. And this is what we have to do. And this is a commitment. We'll get there. And with all IITs getting together, other places getting together, let's do even 100 products. And I think India will transform itself. Otherwise, we'll always say, well, China has done it, we can't do it. And IITMRP, IITC, the second thing is, we have been doing 30, 40 good incubations per year. That's not enough. We need to become leaders. We have to, each of us have to think in terms of 1,000 incubations per year. Now, 1,000 incubations cannot come up with just IIT alumni and students. We will partner with 100 incubators in tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 institutes. We'll go to Professor Shamudde and we'll say we'll partner with some select ones. The ones which cannot on their own do it. If they can do it on their own, they're strong, good, great. But this will be help them. Create a co-incubation with them. Nurture them, the select. And it has to be equal partnership. For example, if we do with Sona Engineering College in Tamil Nadu, the incubating will be called Sona-IITM Incubator. Incubation. The credit has to go to both. The equity has to go to both. If we treat them as equal partnership, we can help. They have large number of youngsters. We just need to do 10, 15 from each one of them. We can do 1,000 incubations. And this is something, Professor Shamudde, we have taken commitment. I'll request your AICT blessings for something like this. Then, the goal number 3, we have 5 goals, or 4 goals, at least I'll present. Goal number 1 is 30 to 50 products, 1,000 crores per year. Goal number 2 is by 2030, we have 1,000 incubations per year. But this will not happen next year. Next year, we may do 70, 80, but finally 1,000 incubations. Goal number 3, India graduates about 2 million, 1.5 million, 2 million engineers a year. But India has very few technologists among the top 2% in any area. This is very unfortunate. IITMRP and ICE to get its ecosystem to take 2,000 youngsters, hire 2,000 youngsters in its center, in its startups, in its R&D companies. And our commitment is 500 of them will be among the top 1 to 2% in their field. It will take 5 years to 10 years to make a fresh graduate from tier 2, tier 3 college into a rancho. Rancho, I'm talking about this 3 Idiots movie. They're absolutely top technologists. We commit to doing this. We have done it at a very small scale. We have done it with some project staff. I'm sure all IITs have done it. But we would like to do it at scale. Again, we'll ask Professor Shamudde help. Ecosystem includes employees of startups, R&D companies, centers of excellence, and IIT project staff. We'll hire 2,000 and we commit 500 of them. We'll do part-time masters with us. and will become the top technologists. I don't need funds from processors. We will find all the support and all that. We need support as a policy. Finally, our commitment in 5 areas, India should be recognized amongst the top 5 in the world. Today, there is no area. And we want to IIT Madras, maybe in collaboration with some other IIT. In 5 areas, we want to be amongst at least the top 5 in the world. And we have to work at R&D, industry, market, and policy. A tough job, but we'll get there. We have selected already area number 1 towards 100% renewable energy. And we are committed to doing it. This is a 10-year goal. Because if we do these 4 things, 5th I'm not talking about, we will fulfill the original goals of that the setup for IITs. A question that is often asked to me, IITMRP, can it achieve these goals, or is it going to be empty talk? See, all I will say that when we started the research park and incubation cell, and we said we will be independent, we are going to be financially independent. We will not take money from government. We will not even borrow from some schemes of the government. We will borrow from commercial banks. Everybody sort of say, oh, this is big talk, nothing will be achieved. Today we achieved that. I talked about it. So we have to look for big goals. Now, look from a different point of view. India has no other option. Will anybody else be able to do it if we cannot do it? India has a talent on the market size. We are supposed to be the best. If we are supposed to be the best, we need the will. IITMRP and IITM IC are in best position to drive this. Better than anybody else. Let us work on it. Let us die in the process, if need be. If we can't win in all 4, can we at least win in 2? Maybe IIT Bombay will win another 2. And we'll leverage all IITM and its associates and everybody, alumni. And why IITM? All IITs and IIMs will do that. Let us go back to the original dream of our founders. And I'll go back to the original dream. The original dream is when IITs were set up, building the industrial, scientific, and technological edifice of the nation. In next 10 years, let India be recognized that it's a very strong in industry, scientific, and technology. Has set up a very good edifice. This is what the challenge to IITs, its research park, its incubation cell will be. And just like about 12 years back, 10 years back, I sort of say, let's go and build our research park and see the translation takes place. Let's build our incubators and see that a large number of startups are doing. I am now posing this challenge, not just to IIT Madras, but to all other research parks also. Thank you very much.